Hey guys, in this video, we're going to take a look at another dashboard. I know I've already shown a couple, but this is a new one, not a new one. It's a new one on this channel anyway, that I've heard a lot of people talk about called Muximux. So this is just, like I said, another dashboard. It's a little different in the way it handles bookmarks and that sort of thing. And we'll take a look at that as we get into it. So actually, let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so here we are on the GitHub page where it talks about this being a lightweight portal to view and manage your web apps without having to run anything more than a PHP-enabled web server. So that's pretty cool. So this, like I said, this is their GitHub page. We don't actually need anything here because we're going to use a Linux server setup here just like we normally do, or we do a lot of times anyway. So let's go ahead and close this. We'll jump over. Of course, I've got Portainer open. We're going to run this in a stack. So we'll want to get Portainer opened up and ready to go. But we'll jump over here to the hub.docker.com page. And then we'll scroll down where we can see the Docker compose file here that we can just go ahead and copy. We'll jump back over to here and we'll click on stacks. We'll click on add a new stack and we'll paste this in here. Of course, we need to give it a name. That's pretty standard there. And then we've just got to kind of change some values here and then we're pretty much good to go. So as per usual, first 7 we shouldn't have to do anything with. If you have, however, changed your server to be in swarm mode, you will have to change this version 2.1 to version 3 in order to get it to work. I haven't actually tested that, but that should work. I don't have any of my stuff running in swarm mode right now, so that's kind of just a guess at this point, but it should work just fine. I have tested stuff like this in the past and used that to get by. The other thing that now that I think about it that I want to touch on real quick, if we look at this hub.docker.com page, this should work on basically anything. It should work on basically a desktop processor as well as an ARM processor. So if you want to run this on a Raspberry Pi or a full-fledged server or an old desktop or whatever, this should work without any issues there as well. So let's go back over here to Portainer and talk about updating some of these values here. Of course, we've got to update the PUID and PGID. We do this pretty often. If you've watched my other videos, you're going to know how to do this. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, though, I'll show you how to get the PUID and PGID of your account. So what we'll need to do is open up PuTTY. And as per usual, it opens in the wrong screen here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to log into this server and we'll drag this over. We're going to log in as root. Okay, so what we want is the ID of the account that you're logged into Portainer with. Now, I'm currently logged in as admin, so that's the ID that I'm looking for. And in order to get that, what we'll do in this PuTTY terminal here is we'll type in ID space admin and press enter. And here we can see the UID or PUID is 998 and the GID or PGID is 100. So we can come over here and type in 998, change that to 100. Next one is time zone. I'm in America / Denver. Of course, you want to change that to your time zone, but that's where I am. So that's what my setting here is going to be. Now, the next thing we need to do is change the volume for the configuration folder. So in order to do that, what we'll need to do is go over to Open Media Vault, and we'll go ahead and jump into there, and we'll get logged in. And then what we can do is jump over here to Shared Folders. I've already got a configuration folder up here. If you don't have that, you will need to create a configuration folder and make sure that it's shared via SMB CIFS. It's just always a good idea to have those folders set up and shared so you can access them on the network if you need to. So what we're looking for here is this absolute path of the configuration folder. If you don't have that, you can hover over this header bar up here, click the drop down, hover over columns, and then toggle absolute path on, and that should give you access to well, the absolute path column. So what we're going to do here is just right click. We're going to go to inspect. We're just going to go ahead and double click that and click copy, and then we can close that and go back to Portainer. And then what we'll do is we'll paste that in and we'll append it with Muximux like so. And this wants to run by default on port 80. There's a good chance you've already got something running on port 80. So you will want to change this to something else. It doesn't really matter what, as long as it's within the range of port numbers that you can use. So we'll just call it port 1234. And the restart list stop, pretty standard stuff there. So we should be pretty much good to go. And then we can click on deploy the stack, and we'll give this a minute to run and do its thing. And then we'll come back and take a look. Okay, so that was pretty quick. It ran, got everything set up pretty quickly there. So let's go over here to Muximux. Here we can see that it's running. We'll go ahead and take a look at the logs here. Services are done, so that's good. We should be good to go then. So if I type in, if I go to my URL for my server here, I'll type in that port. Here we can see Muximux is loading, so that's a good sign. And here is everything that it kind of comes pre-set up with for bookmarks. And this is kind of a good way to kind of take a look at this. If we click on Plex, for instance, it's not going to do anything because there's no Plex service set up on my server. And you can see that it switched from having just this full page that when I clicked on it, now we've got this bar across the top here. And this web page just loaded inside there. I think we can do that with a lot of these. Now, of course, these are supposed to be links to services on your server, not the web pages from where they came. So what we'll want to do here is actually go back to the home page. We'll go over here to the bottom left and we'll click on the gear down here for settings. And here you can see that we've got all of our tabs here. So what I actually want to do is scroll down to the very bottom and click on remove all. We're going to say yes. And we'll let this go through its process of removing everything. So that's good. What I want to do first is I want to do ambi. And I'll give it a color. Ambi is kind of a bright green color. So let's type in the address here. Oops. Darn it. 6/web, like so. Enabled, yes. You can give it an icon here if you want to. There isn't an MB icon in here. If you type that in, there's nothing there. So I've just been using something like just a movie icon there. You can leave that blank. You can use the icon, whatever you want to do. I like using the icons because it gives the page a little bit more flavor rather than just a blank panel. So we've got MB, we've got our URL, we've got our icon, we've got our color. So then we can click on add new here. And because I'm lazy, I've actually got Dash Machine open in a bottom window down here. So what we can do then is let's grab some URLs here. So we're going to copy that. And then what I'll do is we'll say OMV5. We'll paste that URL in there. Let's see. Oops. Let's type that in. Open. No, let's see. Is there a vault or a safe? Nope. Let's just say that's home. And then that's going to be kind of a light blue color like so. That should be good to go. All right, so let's keep adding some more here. Let's add pie hole. I think that'll be a good one to have in here. So, oops, we're going to type in pie hole and we'll paste that in. Let's say pie hole is kind of a red color here, so let's do that. I don't think there is a pie hole in there. There sure is not. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Put a little shield up there. That should work just fine. Do another one here. Let's do Portainer. Copy the link address. Go ahead and paste that in. Portainer is also kind of a light blue color, so we'll go ahead and do that. Man, let's see. There's going to be, well, this might. Nope, there sure isn't. Well, we'll just go ahead and do that. Why not? And let's do one more here. Do a copy link address, add new. We're going to do a qBittorrent. We're going to paste that in there. And, oops, darn it. Come on. Work with me here. And we'll just give it the uTorrent there. And that one also is a light blue color. So let's go ahead and click on save and reload. And here we've got just some of our basic bookmarks here. This is why I like using the icons. If you didn't have any icons in there, this would just be empty, just have the name in there. Not terribly interesting to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at MB. That just popped right in. That's great. But I do want to say that not everything will do that. Let's take a look. See, OMV5 didn't do that because there's a setting in there, or it may not even, there may not even be a setting in Open Media Vault for security reasons. Some websites or applications will have something in place that will keep a page from being loaded in an iframe, because that's basically all we're doing here is we're loading, yeah, see, we're loading this into a frame here. We can see view frame source tells us that this is loading into an iframe, and there are certain applications that there's just not much you can do about that. So if we come over to Pi-hole, let's see, same issue there. Portainer, that one works, that's awesome, glad to see that. QBitTorrent also works, but there's a caveat to that, and I want to show you that caveat. So I'm going to get logged in here. If we go over here to tools and options, I think, there we go. So what you want to do is go over here, like I said, to tools and options. You're going to go to the web UI, and we're going to, you've probably got one or both of those enabled right now. So if I click on save there, and let's close that, and let's refresh this page. Let's go back to QBitTorrent. Nothing happened because of that setting. So what we actually have to do there is pop that open in a new tab. There we go. So now if I, like I said, options, web UI, scroll down, check both of those, click save, and then let's refresh the page, because we probably always a good idea. There we go. So now everything's working again. Just know that there is there will be some applications on your server or some websites that you may want to link to that this won't work with because of that little security thing that we were able to disable in QBitTorrent. So just kind of one of those things that you're gonna have to work with to make sure that each thing will work with your setup. Okay guys, there you go. There's how to set up Muximux on your home server. Of course, you could do this just using a Docker Compose and command line if you wanted to bypass Portainer entirely. There will be all of the code that you'll need to do that in the blog post that's linked in the description down below. Also, while you're down there in the description, there will be a couple of links where you can support the channel if you want to. There will be a link to a Ko-fi page that I've got set up where you can do a one-time tip, or if you want to become a patron over on Patreon, there will be a link for that down there as well. There are a few different levels of Patreon memberships that you can join. The $5 membership, though, will give you access to a members-only or a patrons-only Discord server. Also, I guess, right below this video, there should also be a carousel of some merchandise that I've put up. Honestly, that's shipping real slow right now because of everything going on. So you may want to just kind of gloss over that for now, but just know that it's there. Or if you're watching this after the COVID thing has settled down, there's merchandise if you want to check that out. So I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to say in this video. So as always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.